Thanks for still staying with us. Now, the Nigerian government, through the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, has issued a new internet code which aims to standardize, coordinate, and develop regulatory frameworks for all information technology practices in Nigeria. NITDA, in a statement signed by its spokesperson, Hadiza Umar, said President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the agency to develop a code of practice for interactive computer service platforms, internet intermediaries, online platforms, in collaboration with relevant regulatory agencies and stakeholders.
According to the agency, the activities conducted on these online platforms wield enormous influence. Hence, the code of practice, which he said is an intervention to recalibrate the relationship of online platforms with Nigerians in order to maximize mutual benefits while promoting sustainable digital economy. Now, to discuss further on this, we have joining us this morning Barrister Emmanuel Edet. He's the head legal and board matters, NITDA. Thank you for joining us, Barrister Edet. Good morning to you.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, as expected, the draft code by the practice released by the NITDA, or code of practice rather, released by the NITDA, has started generating conversations. Can you quickly help us itemize the key issues it intends to address, the most important ones?
All right. The code of practice is basically a document that seeks to standardize the use of online interactive platforms in Nigeria in such a manner that the content that is placed on those platforms by citizens and by residents in Nigeria will not violate the laws and regulations of Nigeria. It also sets and outlines certain procedures to deal with matters regarding court order and several other activities as far as those contents are concerned. It also seeks to deal with misinformation and disinformation, and also to ensure that these platforms are actually safe for children and deal with any other issues that may be inimical to the country as a whole.
Now, whilst we recognize some of the ills that this document is seeking to address, there have been concerns as to the freedom of speech. Social media users have raised concerns as to the fact that this might be used to gag the media. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, certainly it's not the intention of the agency to gag the media using this particular legal instrument. The truth about this whole issue is that the instrument targets responsible use of social media, and it's not designed to prevent anybody from expressing their constitutional right of freedom of speech, because that's a constitutional right that can never be infringed on. And throughout this document, you will see that the courts have a specific role in dealing and checking to make sure that whatever content is addressed in this particular media, whether taken off or loaded, there is a judicial system that will deal with any of the issues that come up. So there are checks and balances that will certainly handle any use that may be perceived to deny people of their freedom of expression.
Well, people might argue that there are already existing, laws here and there that, might protect against things like this. And, it also is curious to know that the government has also chosen an administrative document to create criminal offenses, as the document states that any platform or internet intermediary responsible for violating its provisions will be liable to prosecution and conviction. So would you say, that this document is enough for conviction in any way?
Well, the issue of conviction is a whole new different story. We are focusing on compliance and making sure that the provisions of this particular document will work hand in hand with the operators to make sure that this document is adequately implemented. However, we should note that the NITDA Act specifically provides that NITDA has the right to make certain kinds of regulations, and if need be, those who violate this regulation will be faced with criminal sanctions. That's contained in the NITDA Act. So generally, we are more focused on compliance, and we are hoping that this will create a new environment for ensuring that social media is adequately used. And the term social media also is one of those terms that is a little bit difficult to define. So we are in a new terrain here, and that's why we are putting this document out and requesting for comments from the general public, because I know one of the issues is trust, because a lot of people are already viewing us as suspicious, but we are here to listen to the people, and we're also here to deal with issues that will ensure the security of the country generally. And the safety
I mean,
of the internet.
it's quite interesting that you mentioned suspicion and trust. We've seen that play out on social media currently, as there are concerns being raised as to the timing of this document being released. Now, on the one hand, there are camps that worry about the fact that the elections, 2023 elections, are coming soon, and there are fears that this might just be used to tame the voice of the young people who seem to dominate on social media, especially flowing from the fact that Twitter, which is a social media platform, was banned from June 2021 up until January 2022. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, the thing is, there is never a safe time. Let's put it that way. That's the right word. There's never a safe time to issue this kind of regulation. And believe me, the timing has nothing to do with the elections coming up or any other activities of the youth. People have a right to express their misgivings, express their thoughts, and that's a constitutional right and cannot be infringed upon. So the essence of this is just basically to continue the growth of the internet in Nigeria and ensure that big tech companies will have some form of framework that will be beneficial to the country as a whole. The digital economy policy and strategy has also outlined this type of developmental regulations. They are not meant specifically to address any form of political opinion, but rather they are meant to ensure that content that is put on these platforms are actually subject to the laws of Nigeria and can be addressed in case there are any complaints from even Nigerian citizens.
Okay, let's talk about the follow-up process. We've talked about this being a draft document. What next from here? If there are people who are aggrieved, who have concerns about certain parts of this document, what is the next step to take from here?
Now, the agency has what we call a rulemaking process. This is one of the steps in that rulemaking process. So from here, we are going to collate public opinion. We are going to collate the expressions, the misgivings, and then we'll address those issues in the document itself. After which, we'll still give another opportunity of a redraft that will take into consideration all the fears and all the other issues that have been expressed, and we will represent it to the public in such a way. We are trying to be as transparent as possible and make sure that the trust is built between the government and the citizens, and also the operators themselves. We are doing continuous engagement, and we'll ensure that these opinions are taken into consideration, making this good.
Quickly, also, now that you've spoken about, the process, and the fact that you are willing to listen and you go through this whole process, I want to ask, because these are some of the concerns, that I've also seen across social media. On the document, it says here, provide information to authorities of harmful accounts, suspected botnets, troll groups, and other coordinated disinformation networks, and also deleting any information that violates Nigerian law within an agreed time. Those are some of the things that were pointed out. So if you can, in 30 seconds, if you go through this process and you continue to see a large percentage of people say no, regardless of how much you explain, will NITDA be willing to suspend this document and these steps? Also, anyway, let's have you deal with that first.
Well, I think it's a bit difficult to determine what you mean by a large number of people.
If you've been following the responses that you've gotten on social media, you can tell, those who are in support and those who are against, and look, way basically.
Yeah. Yes, we can actually tell. There are people that have come out in support and say we actually need this. The truth is we need this, but the issue here is how do we get this? And that's why we are here to have this conversation. We are not saying that we'll disregard Nigerians' opinions, we will listen to Nigerians. We will come to a compromise. That's what democracy is all about. That's why the government is there, to ensure that the people are actually engaged as a stakeholder. NITDA as an agency is a stakeholder-oriented agency designed for the benefit of the citizens of Nigeria. And so we will always listen to the citizens of Nigeria. There will always be dissenting opinion on issues like this, but we want to take in and accommodate as much as possible the opinion of Nigeria, especially the youth who are active users in this media.
Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel, for joining us to explain the position of NITDA as well as what this document, seeks to correct. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me here.
All right. Do enjoy the rest of your day.